recap episode. All we're going to do is summarize events up to this episode so far. And one reason that we can do this, I think, effectively is that we have our new player, Chris, here, who will be playing a character who you haven't met yet. He's going to help us recap all the episodes so far because he's listened to all of them, except for one because I just found out we made a mistake, or I made a mistake uploading episode 18. Apparently, I uploaded episode 19 instead, so episode 18 is misnamed. It's actually episode 19 in there twice. I'll fix that really soon. I'm going to assume that if you're listening to this, that you've actually heard the correct episode 18 and 19. By the time you listen to this, everything should be fixed. What we're going to do in this recap is summarize the major events that have happened in the story so far. So for people that have followed along up to this point, I'm going to summarize all the big events so that you can remember all the important things, the various mysteries, the different story threads that are dangling, so you can continue to follow along the story. Because there are a lot of different threads to keep up with right now. Where do we want to start? How should we start this summary?
I think the most important thing we've accomplished so far is successfully delivering the wheat to Hans Miller.
Right. Yeah, that's the biggest part of the story so far, is you started out in the city of Denton taking on an important wheat delivery mission. And you eventually succeeded in delivering that wheat to Hans Miller several weeks later. That's right.
I think our biggest dangling storyline is not going back to Carlton the Cruel.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you missed that opportunity, I'm afraid. But you can always take that opportunity again.
Another loose thread is our lack of baby owlbears. We've been unsuccessful in attaining them.
That's true.
Yeah.
You did kill two.
Yeah,
Almost
we
as
did.
though
They were
you're-
adults.
It's almost as though your DM isn't really keen on the idea of you guys having a pair of baby owlbears that you raise to be party companions. But maybe that's not what's really going on.
Maybe in the future we can wear him down by constantly bringing it up.
Perhaps. I guess let's just start at the beginning. Tara and Finn and Paxton met in Denton. They took the wheat contract from Benton Wheatman, with Tara and Finn saying they wanted to travel north. They basically were not exactly hiring Paxton because they didn't offer him any money, right?
Nah.
It just came along for adventure.
Yeah, he just offered to be their guide as they traveled through the Free Cities because he was somewhat familiar with the area.
I feel like our flyer mentioned money and we just never gave it to him.
You never gave him anything.
I was assuming that there would be payment once I had delivered you to the correct place.
I guess Paxton just forgot to ask for the money once you got there.
It's too nice.
The real reward was the friendships we made along the way. Am I
there
right?
you go.
Yes.
Of course, and all the gold you did end up getting.
That's true.
Mhm.
So you traveled on the road. You encountered some glass merchants and fought a blob.
Learned some truths of foresight.
Yeah, you learned some
Yeah.
truths of foresight. You met a strange wizard in a gray cloak.
He was
And-
following.
He was
Very
following the party. He seemed
several
very
episodes.
suspicious about what they were there for.
We were very suspicious of him as well.
And
Mhm.
you were also extremely worried about what he was up to. You ran into a goblin problem. What were the goblins up to? You eventually found out. What did you eventually
The
discover
soup?
they were up to? Soup.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cow soup.
They want to get revenge on humans for not liking them.
That's a
Right.
good way to put it.
Yeah, that's
By making cows
the
sick.
cows
By making
sick,
cows sick.
so that they
Yes.
don't have any food.
Yes.
The humans don't have any food.
The goblins aren't very.
Instantly become vegan.
Yeah, they have a low intelligence score. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's a really roundabout sort of revenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paxton at one point managed to get his hands, unfortunately, on a glass steel sword,
Yep.
and it had effects on him.
Made me a jerk.
Made him a jerk.
two
but only
ways about it.
Only temporarily. Finn had a clever idea to have some dwarves help basically beat the sword out of him, and it worked. I confess, as the DM, that I was expecting the sword would be around for a bit longer, but it was a clever plan on Finn's part, and it worked.
I tried really hard to hold on to it.
You did. You did
Yeah.
an admirable job. However, you were being wrestled with by 8 dwarves who were all pounding on your fist.
Hmm.
So yeah, you did a good job, but you were outmanned or outdwarved.
I bashed his knuckles.
Oh, Oh, that's true.
That's
You
true.
bashed his knuckles, yes.
Yeah, outwomaned.
Outwomaned, yes.
You guys still have the sword, don't you?
They
Or-
do.
Mhm.
Yep.
They
Mhm.
do still have the sword.
We're trying to find a good home for it.
You keep finding people who are willing to take it off your hands and dispose of it or
We're too
purify it or something,
afraid.
and you're all paranoid that, no, I don't know if we can trust this person.
Maybe we need this. I was definitely willing to give it to Sigbert.
We're
but-
gonna sell the gems, but we gotta keep this.
I mean, who wouldn't want the sword? It's
Yeah.
like if a little kid's like, "I'll take that gun off your hands for you." You don't just give the kid the gun. Like,
Right.
you got to find a good place for it.
I see. You made it to this new town called New Tower, and you stayed at an inn there and decided to investigate the Broken River near New Tower, and that's where you met Ethelflad
Mm-hmm. The monastery.
at a monastery there.
Bought more blobs
You
Yeah.
fought some more blobs when a storm came through.
and the water blobs.
Hmm.
Yep, some blobs in the water. That's true too.
And
I
found
almost
the
ate-
first
You had a hard
of
time. You had a hard time climbing the.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there was
oh
lots of
yes, I remember
Yeah.
that.
lots of rock climbing. Didn't go very well, but you did eventually manage to get into an observer room there.
the first of potentially many.
Possibly.
Yeah.
You looted every valuable stone you could find in there.
Absolutely.
Could be the answer to the universe, but
Sure. But
money.
oh well. You took all those valuable gems.
Made an absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
You
That's
found a
good.
note from someone named FNS to someone named Frith. And you fought some shadows that had been apparently left there to kill an observer.
Hmm.
Then after that, you returned to town and fought a bunch of blobs. Anything else I'm missing from your time around New Tower?
Very soon after that, we harassed Paxton to find out why he could open the door.
Yes,
I had to
Yes.
reveal my dark secret.
that's right. And also, Ethelflad had a little side adventure
Mm-hmm.
where she met a dwarf named Imgra.
It was a nice
It was a
mission.
nice little side mission.
Yeah, a little side
Um,
side hustle.
And someone in New Tower hassled Finn about showing him his papers or something, which only cemented my feeling that the keepers have absolutely no place in the Free Cities and need to get the heck out.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
Tolf actually hassled him wanting to see his papers and was surprised to see that Finn, in fact, had all the necessary documentation to travel through the Magistracy and use magic without any restraint or constraint. So you left town. You ran into an old friend from a rival on the road, this fellow named Medu Sewal, and Finn and Tara gave him an earful. Then you, on the road a couple days later, you picked up a zombie passenger. You
Yep.
took him on your trip to Zauberfeld.
Our most bizarre decision ever.
Mhm.
I think you put him in a sack.
Yeah, you put him in
Yeah.
a sack.
Yep.
And you drove him to Zauberfeld, which he seemed fine with as long as you were going that direction.
Fantasy Uber.
Yeah. We're all really reluctant to harm things that are not mean to us.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, that's a good practice. That's a nice way to behave.
It led us quickly to Carlton.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Took
I
you to
guess.
Carlton.
Maybe. Who knows what's gonna come of that?
Yeah.
Also, that's where you met Sigbert for the first time in Zauberfeld. And you did some shopping. And you talked to Carlton, who was an undead who was upset about some leaks from the aqueduct that passed over the graveyard, over the necropolis. And he said he wanted you to do something about that. So you went and talked to the Duke, who was in charge of the town, Duke Gerolf, who told you that he'd put some in on the aqueduct if you could get rid of that one of his other problems, like the goblins or the chimera, or one of the other things he was dealing with.
Which we
Oh,
did.
The
And then,
chimera.
yeah, he didn't seem to get on the fixing of the aqueduct very quickly, I feel. Like
We
he's
had to
kind
get
of
on him again.
Yeah.
he's kind of dragging his feet, and I don't appreciate it.
Well, in any case, you took care of the chimera. It was a difficult fight, but you managed to defeat it. You went to Munville, the area around Mun's Tower, and he gave you a mission to find this guy named Tor.
I just realized I had another question for Mun.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was your other question for Mun?
I wanted to know why he was so sensitive about his voice, which is fake anyway.
Oh, well, yeah.
Spoilers.
That was a great moment for Finn.
um, and Chris, if I'm leaving out anything important, or if you think there's anything you have to add here, feel free to chip in.
Well, I really like Sigbert. He's amazing. And the acquaintance from Arrival. Didn't you guys try to give him the sword?
Oh, you thought about it.
didn't
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
guys
they
think
thought about it.
Yeah.
They decided that would make him even more of a jerk.
Yeah.
So they decided not to. That would have been funny, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I totally would not have known. I would not have expected you guys to do that. It would have.
I think it would have messed with our alignment a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talked to Mun. He told you he would tell you more about the river, but first you had to go find this guy named Tor who was at this research facility. First, you headed back to Zauberfeld before going through the forest to this research facility. You went back to Zauberfeld. You met the Duke again, and that's when you complained.
Mhm.
Hey, you said, "Hey, we got the Chimera. When are you going to start fixing the aqueduct?" And he said he'd get right on it.
And we all totally believed him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then you traveled toward the forest. You decided to make sort of a cut across the land.
Importantly, we took our 2 faithful steeds and boarded them with Hans Miller.
Yes.
Which you got from the wheat.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So Hans Miller now has the 2 horses. You cut across open territory toward the forest, and you ran into a couple of cattle ranchers, and they told you that their cows were sick, and you advised them not to take their cattle to market, and they reluctantly agreed. Although I think you gave them some money, which helps.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. We're so nice.
You
No,
are
it was
so
a
nice.
gold. You guys gave them some gold.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then you, that night, I think, ran into some goblins outside of the forest who invited you to a party, and you decided to take them up on that.
Huh?
And Finn managed to charm both of their bugbear bosses.
Say that again.
Yeah, that was surprising. He charmed them both, managed to basically figure out what their plan was, which, as you mentioned earlier, was not a good plan. But basically, they were poisoning cows with some sort of magical communicable disease in the hopes of killing all the cows and making the humans really unhappy.
The GTD, goblin transmitted disease.
Mhm.
Yes. And then you hightailed it out of there before the spell could expire, and ran through the woods. We had your first owlbear encounter with adult owlbears. That is, that was a pretty serious fight.
And
That
we
was
were
maybe
You
the-
guys are going down.
Yeah.
Like the second, third time at least that our DM definitely tried to kill us.
Yep.
Yeah, I warned you guys at the beginning. There would be no punches pulled, right? No plot armor.
Owlbears are definitely a lot worse than the Chimera was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we got some capes out of it.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duke knows about the cow soup, right?
Right.
Because of Griffin.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
guys filled him in. That's right. And he said he would probably take some action now that you said that there's a cave with
Mhm.
goblins in it. So you killed the owlbears. During the night, you saw some people moving along the aqueduct, boats down the aqueduct, right? And you weren't sure exactly what that was all about, but I think you ultimately decided that it was about what?
The glass that was being harvested out of the Western Research Facility.
Right. Yeah, you guys decided that they were, in fact, picking up shipments of glass from the Western Research Facility and taking it off, presumably to be sold or something, maybe
Would you-
used for something.
Would you say that they were hauling glass?
Oh.
I wouldn't say that. I guess I can count on you to say it, though.
That's what I'm here for.
So you eventually arrived at the research facility. You made it. I should mention you made it past Green Zub, who was just weird. Didn't turn out to be very dangerous.
I love that old lady.
You liked Green Zub,
You guys met the elves there, right?
right?
In the forest.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You eventually made it to the Western Research Facility, but as soon as you came in, you found a dead body. And a Tolf was there, along with a bunch of other wizards, and it made you look really suspicious, but you persuaded him that you had nothing to do with it, and he decided that you could help him with his investigation of the murder. And so he did some investigating while you did some investigating, and eventually, not even eventually, pretty much straight away, you guys made a beeline for Minister Klemperer's place, right? I had all this stuff written up about all the other wizards in the facility and all their interesting laboratories and all the stuff in them and all the clues you could find. But you guys decided, nope, we're just going to go straight to the back of the building and we're going to talk to Minister Klemperer about his golems and all the other stuff he's working on.
Why waste time with the grunts when you can talk to the boss? Am I
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Is that the part that I missed, or is
Right.
Yeah.
You may have
That-
missed that because of the episode 19 being uploaded twice instead of episode 18.
Well,
being
I
there.
mean, if he started with the glass breaking, the guy who was doing the orb. So you got when we got to the guy who had screwed over Athelflad,
yeah?
Mhm.
Because there was someone working
and then
with
we went
rats.
Yoramir?
Klemperer afterwards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a wizard that was doing experiments with rats,
Right.
and there was the guy that was shape shifting the glass. He wanted to know more about the glass,
Uh huh.
and then Cole, he wants to study like the other worlds, or he thinks that there's something?
Yeah, he thinks there are other worlds, other planes, right? So there were several different wizards. There were more. You never really talked to Dylan Fleur, the bard. But in any case, you went to Minister Klemper's laboratory. Finn basically forced him to reveal that there was a trap door under the floor, under the carpet. You all climbed down the rope ladder down to the room below, which was in fact the room that was supposed to be sealed off, where there was this machine that was used for burrowing into the glass. Inside, you found the machine.
Mhm.
And what else?
Tor's
Tor.
remains.
Yeah, Tor's
Yeah.
corpse. And
Or Tor.
you decided to do some more poking around in the room. You opened up the door showing the minecart tracks leading back into the east. What else happened?
We took a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we
he
had a
disappeared,
minecart.
right? He disappeared. And then Cole, or what appeared to be Cole, appeared at the top of the trap door and closed it and then moved the golem back on top of it, blocking you inside. And when the machine started to heat up, you wisely ran for the minecart and took a ride. And where did you end up?
Crowd surfing on some golems.
Mhm.
Right. The golems picked you up and dumped you like broken glass next to the aqueduct.
Wait, hold on. What appeared to be Cole closed the trap door,
Right.
but it was Minister Klimper that
Miss
we were
Klimper.
chasing down.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, but he's a
After-
doppelganger,
after.
so he can
Yeah,
be
he's a
both. Okay,
doppelganger.
He was
gotcha.
invisible.
Right. He had turned invisible for a moment, then Misty stepped up to the top and then shape-shifted into the shape of Cole and made it look like Cole was trapping you inside.
Playing ability bingo over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Using up some spells, using up some abilities. Yeah.
And then he still had all those spells later.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah. What's with these high-level
OP.
wizards having spells?
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Well, we got him anyway.
Yep, you got him in the end. He had up to 5th level spells. That arcane hand he used on you was a 5th level spell. You rode the minecart outside of the building and then angrily stomped back inside. He, again, turned himself invisible and managed to sneak past everybody, but still had to get through the doors, so you guys saw the doors open and close. And at that point, you decided to run toward the entry chamber with a Tolf, and that's where Lumpen said he was being attacked, and there was apparently a tiny stone golem.
The one that killed Detlev.
The one that had killed Detlev. That's right. Klemper had run out the door, and he had a folding boat, which he threw onto the aqueduct and was escaping that way. Folding boat, a very cool, underused magic item, by the way. Tara and Athelflaed grabbed a boat out of the shed, the storage shed, and tried to pursue him, while Finn and Atolf and partly Paxton tried to deal with the miniature golem.
Gigantic fireball.
Yeah, so you guys pursued down the aqueduct. Unfortunately, after a bunch of spells being flung at you, he pulled out all the stops and hit you guys with a fireball, and you were 1 hit point away from a TPK.
Yes.
Rip in
Real?
peace, Finn.
I haven't seen that part yet.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I just
that
know
was,
that Finn got hit with a fireball.
It's just-
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so the next thing that happened was they got hit with a fireball, Finn was killed, everybody else was knocked unconscious except for Tara, who had 1 hit point. And she managed to revive Paxton, who had no spells left.
Yes.
Oh, this gets
Genius.
good.
Oh,
She
you have
revived
a
the healer.
healing? Like a healing
She had
potion?
a potion of healing.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
Well, no, I think Finn might have had it. Or
Yeah, Finn had
I
one, that's
swiped it from his body.
Yeah.
Oh.
What did you guys do then?
Oh, then in a panic,
Yes.
Paxton tried to slow the boat by hitting the sail, and Tara said, "Nah, let's just use one of these crazy potions and see what happens."
Yep.
And it turned out to be a good decision, except for the die rolls weren't really going your way.
Yeah.
We had some hilarity there. They used the potion of Ettenfriend, which turned Paxton and Tara into a 2-headed monster. And they tried to clobber Minister Klemperer. Many ones were rolled.
So many ones.
But I would say that we did a good.
Job.
Right.
Oh.
Yes, it also had the side effect that they had to alternate every other word between them when
Mhm.
speaking.
That
Eventually,
sounds like fun.
They defeated Minister Klemperer. He turned into a gray, strangely shaped humanoid, sort of featureless humanoid. And they went back to the Western Research Facility, explained everything to Atolf, who showed them that, in fact, the minister had been excavating inside the Western bubble, trying to break through the glass. He had been a member of the cult of glass breakers.
Yeah,
So-
he had a tattoo on his ankle or something
That's
like
right.
that,
He had
didn't he?
a tattoo of like a bottle breaking on his ankle. So then you returned to Mun, who revealed his true current voice to you, and you forgot to ask him why he's so sensitive about his voice if that's not his real voice. There's an answer, but you forgot to ask him.
These are so many things that I just have. I'm so upset that I forgot to do. I need
so
to start
sorry.
writing stuff down.
Then, after talking to him for a while, he revealed that, in fact, someone actually rushed into the room and revealed that the Hilt River had broken or begun to break. And that's where we ended that episode. Any other important events that I'm missing? Any speculation you guys want to share? Any guesses about what's going on or what's going to happen next? Chris, you haven't heard the recording we just did, obviously. To briefly summarize, they decided, Mun suggested that they should go tell the elves and the other people who live in the Great Forest that the Iron Empire was probably going to come after them for resources now that the river nearest them was breaking. So they should go warn them, and then they should go to the Eastern Bubble where the remaining truths of foresight can be found. And the way he suggested that they get there was everyone's favorite wizard,
Sigbert.
Big bird.
Sigbert, who is going to
Right.
teleport them around.
Oh, and the important finding with Paxton.
Right. So at the very end of the most recent episode, as they went into the council meeting, the Council of Elves, these long-lived elves, were all shocked when Paxton stepped up to the podium at this council meeting, and they all realized that he is, in fact, they all recognized him, and you guys realized that he is, in fact, Frith.
Bum, bum,
Seconds before walking
bum.
into.
Yeah, actually, you guys theorized that he might be Frith
Yeah.
before you went into the building, even.
I'm the jerk from the letters.
Yes,
Mhm.
Frith the jerk from the letters.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool. That's
yeah.
a twist.
So definitely probably an observer.
You don't remember.
I don't remember being Frith.
Okay.
I only remember being Paxton. And that is my defense, my legal defense.
and that's where we ended. Now, again, anybody have any speculation or theories or guesses or questions or anything else that we could go over?
An interesting moral argument. Like, is whatever Frith did forgiven because you don't remember it?
Yeah, and if that's
Yeah.
the case, then anyone who gets blackout drunk is totally
Yeah.
not responsible for whatever they did, which I don't agree with. So,
Yeah. Wow. Frith.
so the Gods River shut down, and the Gods River is to the west,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a Western research facility around a Western bubble. And now we're finding out that the East River shut down, and there is a big Eastern bubble. So I'm wondering if the rivers are shutting down because of the bubbles, if there's a relationship.
What are these bubbles?
The walls of the world are glass, right? There's
Yeah.
in this big glass container. And glass, if you've ever seen glass, it sometimes has
Oh.
bubbles or imperfections in it. And that's what these are. They're just big bubbles in the glass.
Does it have anything to do with the experimentations they're doing breaking through glass?
Yeah, they don't know.
Oh,
I would think that if you were going to try to break through a big solid glass wall, you would want to focus your efforts where there's a bubble to reduce effort. So where there's a bubble, there's going to be glass breakers, I would say.
That makes sense.
Do we know if there are any other bubbles? I feel like the Eastern bubble is well known, and then the Western bubble was not so well known
That's
because
right.
Mun had to tell us about
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but there may be other bubbles, but they are even less well known than those.
And
Okay.
it seems like the Cult of Foresight and the Glass Breakers are like rival gangs. Because the Glass Breakers want to break through, but the Cult of Foresight
They
knows that
definitely
that's...
Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious as to what Foresight is going to say about how we escape if it's not by breaking the glass. Because we either have to like go through the eye by flying or do what Mun's doing,
Mm-hmm.
which is Mun's plan was to go down to the ocean
Mhm.
and see, I guess, how far down it goes.
And see where the water goes.
Yeah.
Right.
He's saying water is being pumped in, so where is it going in the end, right? It has to go somewhere.
And the fact that I think it was Mun that said, if your house is burning, do you sit around thinking about what caught the house on fire, or do you try to get out of the house? That makes me think that maybe he's affiliated with the Cult of Foresight or something. I don't know.
I feel like if he was affiliated with the Cult of Foresight, he would already know all of the truths.
That's fair. That's a good point.
And he wouldn't be sending us on this goose chase for, I don't know. He
We
is a
didn't-
strange guy.
We didn't do an insight check on him, did we?
I think you did about something, but maybe not about
Okay.
the Glass Breakers or the Cult of Foresight.
Kind of hard to tell if an animated suit of armor is lying or not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Not a lot
doesn't
of
have
facial
tell.
cues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet he'd be good at poker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems sort of like a scientific skeptical type. That's what his approach is. So he doesn't really seem fully on board with foresight, but he also seems like there's some mounting evidence that maybe those statements, the truths of foresight, have something to them. So he wants more information.
Well, I'm hoping once we get to the Iron Empire, I can dust off my rustic hospitality and maybe get some room
Right.
and board for free and make some friends with some cults of foresight people.
According to Mun, there are no more cultists of foresight. There's only the Glassbreakers left, but
That he knows of.
that he knows of. That's
Mhm.
right. All right. Anything else important we should summarize?
I just wanted to know because I haven't seen the episode. The elder elves, are
Mhm.
they green cloaks? Or are those more like soldiers that work for them?
The elves that they've been talking to at this council meeting, they were just ordinary citizens, political officials.
Okay.
Right? They're important people, but they're just politicians. Well, thanks guys for helping to summarize. It's going to be a little while before we release the next episode because it's going to be a little while before we can record another episode. But when we do, Chris will be joining us, and I guess that'll probably be August 18th, I think, is when we have our next recording lined up. Except for we have a
one-off?
one-off recording
Mhm.
that we'll do with Danielle and Chris. That'll be a separate thing. We'll do that relatively soon. The next full recording will be in August. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.